Well, good morning, Collective. Man, I should put some hair product in. It's all frizzy today. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's see here. So it's 8:21 in the morning. Settling in here. Let's see what this wonderful Saturday, the 151st day of the year, holds for us. Just for shits and giggles. I don't know why it's not on the screen. I just had it up, but this moment here. We're just going to go through everything as a daily way to begin the day, right? 103. So, let's start with a Bible passage, right? So the passage for today is Timothy 4:15 through 16. Be diligent in these matters. Give yourself wholly to them, so that everyone may see your progress. Watch your life and doctrine closely. Persevere in them, because if you do, you will save both yourself and your hearers. Which reminded me, I don't know the exact part, it's from Braveheart. Something about do it and make sure that the Scottish or the Irish, make sure that the English see you do it. Right? So that's what we had to begin with. And why don't you go through real quick. Let's see. What's our passage out of the Kabbalah today? Here's a nice short one. This page is page 31. It's entitled Divine Life. In the flow of the Holy Spirit, one feels the divine life force coursing through the pathways of existence, through all desires, all words, all thoughts, all nations, and all creatures. The theory of evolution accords with the secrets of Kabbalah better than any other theory. Evolution follows a path of ascent and thus provides the world with a basis for optimism. How can one despair seeing that everything evolves and ascends? When we penetrate the inner nature of evolution, we find divinity illuminated in perfect clarity. Ein Sof generates, actualizes potential infinity. Let me pause to highlight that real quick. All right. And just for the sake of being well-rounded, right? Because if it's in all things, then where's the separation, right? There is no separation. Not really. I guess I'm going to start at this page and probably continue, I don't know, through this chapter instead of randomly going through it, of the Quran today, because, well, it's all one thing. The chapter I turn to is the Allies. It's Surah XXXIII. And this chapter, the Allies, is called Azab. O Prophet, be careful of your duty to Allah, and do not comply with the wishes of the unbelievers and the hypocrites. Surely Allah is knowing and wise. And follow what is revealed to you from your Lord. Surely Allah is aware of what you do. Joshua 1:9. God is with thou wherever thou goest. There's nowhere you can hide, not in your head, and not gossiping, especially without God seeing that. So what's the point of gossip and talking behind people's backs? There is none. Truly. It's only mixing other people up in one's own bad karma. So might as well have everything that anybody has negative to say about anybody done live on TV. You know what I'm saying? Anything good that anybody says. Otherwise, what's behind closed doors? There ain't no such thing. And follow what is revealed to you from your Lord. Surely Allah is aware of what you do. And rely on Allah, and Allah is sufficient for a protector. Allah has not made for any man two hearts within him, nor has he made your wives whose backs you liken to the backs of your mothers as your mothers, nor has he made those whom you assert to be your sons your real sons. These are the words of your mouths. Excuse me? And Allah speaks the truth and he guides to the way. Just two more passages here. We'll move forward. I don't like to get too much into doctrine, but we're just doing this because it's all one thing, and that's what I profess, and that's what I've been taught. And if anyone's going to get into God, get into improving their life, get into being a leader, then one must be aware of and constantly learn all things, as there are no two things that are separate. That's why, for instance, in nobility, from a young age, one's taught to study map making, bridge building, fencing, global and foreign politics and affairs, mercantile business, money, everything. Otherwise, how could you be king one day? How could you be duke? To lead a whole nation, a whole town, a whole congregation. If you're not well-rounded, you don't know what the fuck's going on, then what are you leading? Are you leading everyone in weakness? I mean, one has to be strong and lead humbly, but without the education and without having the strife and without having the without having the experience, then of knowing what it's like, then how could you tell and be there for anybody who's going through it, or be an advisor, especially ahead of all the companies as leader, as El Presidente. Let's see, so 5 here. Assert their relationship to their fathers. This is more equitable with Allah. But if you do not know their fathers, then they are your brethren in faith and friends. And there is no blame on you concerning that in which you made a mistake, but concerning that which your hearts do purposefully. Blame may rest on you. But concerning that which your hearts do purposely, blame may rest on you, and Allah is forgiving, merciful. And finally, for a passage today, it's on page 406, and it ends in passage 6. The Prophet has a greater claim on the faithful than they have on themselves, and his wives are as their mothers. And the possessor of relationship have the better in the ordinance of Allah to inheritance, one with respect to another, than other believers, and then those who have fled their homes, except that you do some good to your friends. This is written in the book. Actually, I want to read one more here. Let's see here. And when we made a covenant with the prophets and with you, with the I don't know what that is, if that's none. Like Joshua the son of Nun, but in Arabic is I don't know. And Abraham, Musa, Moses, and Isa, Jesus. And it says son of Mary. And we have made with them a strong covenant, that he may question the truthful of their truth, and He's prepared for the unbelievers a painful punishment. O you who believe, call to mind the favor of Allah to you when there came down upon you hosts. So we sent against them a strong wind and hosts that you saw not, and Allah is seeing what you do. Nice, sufficient for this morning. 10 minutes in, okay. So, let's start out this morning and see what might be the predicted energy today. The book of changes. Hold on, let me get paper here. So we got here. We have 6. This is a 2-part answer on how our advice for the day. So we got 9, 8, 6. Fire and water is our top hexagrams. 7, 'Alright. Looks like we've got water on fire and fire on water. '63 and '64, huh? Looks like a day of renewal and completion. I mean, just hold the bar. Already accomplished into unfinished, which isn't that how each day begins? Yesterday is done, and what is there to develop today? And to already have everything that you need is to be unfinished, is to be at a dead end without more growth and experience every day. So I'll just quickly. The success of already accomplished is at its minimum. It is beneficial if consistently correct. What starts out auspicious may end up in shambles. Yeah, like I was saying about building a building. It don't start perfect. It starts as a fucking mess. So if something starts out perfect, well, what good is that? It's gonna go through a decline and fall apart before it can come back together. And if it comes back together, back to the perfection it began at, well, then that's a dead end. Yeah, that's why it can't be just a circle of like, okay, like 12 o'clock, okay, it comes apart, and okay, now we're done. That's kind of the idea behind the fact that they split 24 hours into 2. And that the letter G symbolizes a spiral of evolution. That something has to keep growing. There can't be an end, necessarily. There has to be evolution. When unfinished gets carried out, that means flexibility is balanced. See, it sounds like already accomplished is positive, but right in it, it says, probably not. Unfinished, that sounds negative. But right away, it says, well, this is actually probably pretty good. A small fox almost finished making a crossing represents not having gone out of centered balance. If it gets its head wet, nothing is profited. This means not continuing to the end. This is a situation where firmness and flexibility correspond even though they are not in the right places, which pretty much is the place where a leader has to sit at, not in a place of comfortability and laziness. Things are always in evolution and always changing. And so one has to maintain that firmness and flexibility. All right, hold on. Now, let's look up cards, see where our the energy in the collective might be to start out this day. This fine Saturday morning. Looks like it's nice and sunny outside. I myself have some studies to do after I get done with this. I do. Oh, what is this? The fifth temple degree. I'm much further along than that, but I haven't caught up. Because I've been already caught up. So that's the funny thing about having to turn around and catch yourself. Like, that's why like school is so interesting, right? You start out and they take you through the process, and okay, now here's your diploma, here's your badge. Now you're done. Then what happens? Then you start your job. Now you're still a baby. You're at the bottom. And if you aren't, well, you got all that schooling and then you moved in. But what about the people who moved up in the process and then got there by actually doing it with experience and having to live it? See, these are questions purposefully proposed to all people. With a professional, in a sense, is especially when someone goes to school, does book smarts, okay, and it was drug out. You're at school 5 days a week, or your class three times a week, or whatever the case is, your block scheduling, and the rest of the time, fuck it, you do what you do for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it takes, and then okay, now here's your degree. Okay, now I'm gonna start my own practice or whatever, and you're like a baby. And they say if you're good at one thing, then you're gonna be good at everything. But what's that one thing? Being available to learn all things, all times. And whenever there's nothing to learn, seeking out things to learn. More often than not, as soon as people are done with school, they quit trying to learn. Shit, every time I get a buzz, especially, it's the opposite for me. I get drunk or high, I'm studying. I'm reading. I'm learning. I'm listening to stuff. I'm not going off and going playing with the boys and girls. Shit, just when I'm sober, then I'm bored. And then what am I doing? Same stuff. Because ain't nobody to hang out with anyway. Education is a lifelong thing. Without that, you got nothing. Spending more money for more tools and shit, that's usually a waste of time and money. Because the only thing you get to take with you is your own fucking head. The rest of it is free. Hammer's only good when you need to hit a nail. Or pull one out. but your head's there all the time. And it's a life experience. It's more useful than anybody can just pull it up on their Google. But without the life experience, you go behind it and something to add to whatever comes up. It's just another dead end. Today we get to trust the niggle. What is the niggle trying to tell you? It's that feeling in your gut that says, this is what I need to do. Or, I don't trust that person. It doesn't mean I don't have to listen to him, but I need to pay close attention. Trust the niggle. Today's about paying attention to our intuition. Let's start with the zodiac here. Let's get a sign, a house, and a planet. Well, I pulled Virgo yesterday. Well, the other day. Read it out yesterday. That's what I got today for us. And the sun. And in the first house. Hey, that's a pretty good balance. It suggests for us today to demonstrate immediately the methods for the healing power. Well, maybe this goes out of order. Demonstrate methods for the healing power of immediately. Well, what we think in our minds, especially about ourselves, is the most important, powerful thing. So, lying to ourselves ends up leading to disease, even if one takes good care of themselves, and traumas that haven't been worked through and discussed and written out and thought through. But those simple beliefs of kind of like when your second wind kicks in and just instantly knowing, I can make it. And that being the last thought, there's the power of immediately and the healing power of it. It's not blind, and it's like faith. It's kind of like choice, but it's not exactly a choice. It's a decision, but it's not exactly a decision. It's really right where one cuts the shit. And then that becomes the truth. That takes you to the finish line. And carries you past and through whatever may get in your way. In that knowing. Realize the analyzing of the way you project yourself. And act like a leader, resulting from the perfectionism of doing it on your own. So that's one thing about elections and how it comes down to a whole bunch of money, you know. But most of the debates are a bunch of bullshit and distraction. And then when somebody's elected, then it's based upon all those that gave them the money. And Congress and everyone else. And so those promises ahead of time don't mean shit the moment somebody goes into office. Well, that's a big fucking problem. You're going to vote for somebody based upon a checklist, and then as soon as they're in the door, then they don't have to listen to that checklist. And so that's a blatant, huge problem with the system. If we can't agree about something, and when we do, then we're going to just throw that in the fucking file 13 and move forward. And now that we got a chair in an office, we can do whatever the fuck we want, then that's a shitty fucking system. What's the point of having a leader? His promises ain't worth shit. Unless the whole idea is that those things will get carried out. Then also the questions are, well, what about all the other stuff? What's being avoided in this conversation by pointing out the things that are on people's minds that we polled everybody for? When the system has so much to do with money and pushing around power, that when it polls everybody to find out what the problems are, then instantly there's a whole bunch of bean counters thinking, how can we use this to our advantage? Rather than how are we going to make society better? How are we going to help everybody out? Instead, it's about how are we going to take advantage of the people who put us into position. I believe these are called the karma cards. Or maybe that was the other ones, I'm not sure. But they're reminded about the moon. It's tied to the soul. And how things develop in phases. While the moon is always whole, it's always there, whether it's lit up or not. And the only side we ever get to see is the only side we ever get to see, but there's a whole other half of it. And if I'm understanding this correctly, the dark side of the moon gets more sun than the light side of the moon because, well, it's faced out. So then the Earth never gets in its way, except for when it's in the way, but that's a full moon on our side. But then there's eclipses and stuff. And the other side is always just going through the phases. But the Earth never gets in the way. So I think the dark side of the moon receives at least probably 10% more light. I don't know. I used to take a real scientist to have to figure that out. And what's interesting on this card is it's got the Mayan or Aztec possibly, but I believe they're the Mayan glyphs in the background. We just went through the new moon in Gemini. The twins, meaning, two lines. So a line is masculine. So two masculines, and the reductive process of it, two lines equal feminine, a whole. So there ain't no two. That's bullshit. It's either whole or it's not. So who's dividing stuff? Huh? Somebody doesn't know what they're doing, probably. Just trying to pull some slick shit. And we got the Grand Cross, number 47. The Provoker. Hey, I'm not sure. Is that the president we're on, 47th? The Provoker? I was thinking Lucifer when I look at this. And we're giving Pisces and Libra belief and balance for today, 2951. Let's get a rune. peace and harmony. Healing and improving. Love. You know, the television is the number one setup distraction put in our world as noise going on in the background. Well, if there's noise going on and you can't hear yourself think, which is the fun thing, because hearing yourself think, well, most of it happens in the dark, in the silence. And then through that silence, then intuition comes up and Spirit speaks to us in a quiet voice. In boredom. If you're afraid to have silence, afraid to have boredom, then you're missing 75% of yourself, because that's where the soul resides, is in the silence. That's where the suggestions and intuition come from. So the more the news gets involved in what you think about, that's a distraction away from you taking control and El Presidente your own life. Because you're worried about what somebody else is doing. Like as if whatever happened on Capitol Hill makes a difference in your fucking life today. Or most people's, unless they force it upon you. But see, that's the thing, it's the grand provoker. So then when a whole bunch of people lose their jobs and stuff, then everybody's thinking about and sending their energy to the ones that fucked them over. They don't deserve any energy. They don't deserve our attention. Unless it's to remove them from their position. Legally, lawfully, however that is. I have a hard time believing that it was a unanimous vote. Considering how overpowered one side of the election was. Ridiculously so. We're supposed to elect one person and he shows up at 4. And all the money. Well, at least Harris was backed by all the companies. And so at least it's broken up rather than 4 guys that are they good at anything? Really? I mean, especially if it takes all 4. I thought we were electing one guy. Did it help? No. It just fucked everything up worse. Everybody was misled. And they probably weren't even voted in. Because it's all computer automated. Okay. Well, then, and who's got the AI and the computer? Oh, the guy that bought his way in? You know what I mean? It's a little sham. And it hasn't done any good for anyone yet, has it? For a unanimous vote? Looks like everybody got duped. But the thing is, each of us have our part to take in America. Because each has to be that flag on the pole. Individually. To carry this nation forward. They separated all these roles on purpose. But to be truly worthy of such a position, one has to know about all things, like I was saying. One has to know something about medicine, about history, about finance, a little bit about legal, about God and religions. Especially if, like, one nation under God and God we trust on the money, you know, then what's this about if the person in charge can't hold that shit and ain't willing to carry it? Then Everybody's getting duped. But ultimately, we're trying to get through that under God, that all beings are created equal and have the same rights. Meaning that no leader has the right to throw 1,000 bodies away for some bullshit manipulative war while going and hanging out with another dude that's throwing bodies as if people are just like blades of grass, just mowing them down. Man, who cares? Who cares? Oh, look, but our country's strong. That's an idiot. It's an idiot that doesn't have any value for their own family just because they have that position. Doesn't give them any right to sacrifice nobody. If anything, they need to sacrifice themselves and get on the ground. Start praying to Allah rather than thinking that they're high and mighty. We got Pope Joan. You know, I believe it, I don't know if it was yesterday or today. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake historically. We're given the pontiff of possibilities. The possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. Okay, the moral or the value everyone needs to focus on. I'm probably gonna walk to the park and go get some fresh air in a bit, and this evening do some spiritual studies within the Rosicrucian Order, which I recommend to anyone. You know, if Christ were ever to come, that's where he would pick instinctively. Well, he'd want to be a part of naturally all the things that seem to have to do with him. That's the only one that would make sense because they tie together all of the religions, including Egypt, Kabbalah, Islam, mysticism from all parts of the world. It's if there's one thing, it's all things. So where's division, huh? When it all comes back down to focusing our energy and about being able to understand and meet anyone anywhere in the world on their level, and not trying to missionary and force one cult or another upon another. That's the one that makes sense as the drawstring on the trash bag of the division of religions. But it's all respected and honored. And and they had to do that because originally each person had their own religion. Oh, my God. No, I'm building my God. But God's part of all things. And each of us it's more like God has us as individuals, like, and strengthens what each one of us as a pawn wants for the world. So if we want a dictatorship, well, then God gives that pawn their dictatorship. Like, we need more dictators. Taters come out of the ground anyway. And have a lot more potassium than bananas. That's a monkey joke. You know, if you get a cramp, potato chips is the fastest way to take it away. And easier on the stomach. Because bananas are highly acidic. But they were supposed to focus on humor. Many a true word can be spoken in jest, comical expression, amusing mannerisms, or speech to incite mirth, which is Sagittarius and Libra. So having that on this what I'm working with the rest of the day, share with collective, and see one more card from Angels and Oracles, tie this up. Processes build themselves slowly over time. And to hide that, at least from where I'm sitting, hides what's really going on, There's no point in trying to do any slick shit. I don't think. We'll finish with the Shaolin Master. Be graceful in your movements and actions. He didn't say anything about speech. His speech is clumsy anyhow. That's why everyone has to take time and let it soak in. Especially when we think something's offensive or we disagree. Then automatically that's a trigger that says, that's what you need to think about. As we all walk together and learn individually from a whole that has overall always been the same. Whether it's me or you just walking in the desert, it's the exact same experience. Whether it's you or I swimming in a pond, it's the same experience. Overall, on a basic level, all human beings are exactly the same. That's something to never forget. And those that think otherwise, that is a problem. And that's why there are children to care for. Talking about the abusers, the aggressors, those that have all the power and don't know what to do with it. They're the babies that we have to raise. As we the people, under that shit, have shown how it's done. Well, who's showing what? Just be positive, beneficial, and true. And peace be upon you.